Heading into the 2026 season, there have been a lot of changes, one of which was adding horsepower, going up to 750 horsepower at tracks shorter than a mile and a third, as well as the road courses. Horsepower has been a huge debate ever since NASCAR started cutting it in 2015, and the debate rages on about snapping back to higher horsepower. So before we get into both of these stories, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to NASCAR Hub if you're a real NASCAR fan, because this channel is brand new and we're trying to hit our first 500 subscribers with people who genuinely love this sport. This was recently discussed by Mike Ford on the Holler Talk podcast, the VP of Race Communications for NASCAR, who said this quote, "We just felt that when you look at the mile-and-a-half races, I think everyone's in agreement that it's the best racing we have, so let's not fix what's not broken. We don't want to hurt something that we feel is pretty good." I think this is more of a 2027 situation. So what we have for the remainder of the year, we're going to stick with that. At the end of the season, we'll look at Darlington, Nashville, Gateway, and the short tracks and see how they raced and how the mile-and-a-halfs raced too. Because every single year the teams catch up to the car and fine-tune it, and that affects the racing. Now I'll say this, it's nice to hear somebody from NASCAR say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I do think that what he said was pretty interesting, and I also think that the groundswell for higher horsepower is only growing over time. Christopher Bell in particular has really been leading that charge. So let's look at what he said as well as the rationale behind it. Starting off with the fact that mile-and-a-half racing is the best in NASCAR, and I've got to say in the Cup Series I 100% agree. The racing at Kansas, Charlotte, and Homestead is unmatched right now. Hell, I'd even add Michigan to that in all honesty. But the teams are going to catch up. They're catching up at places like Las Vegas, for instance, where the last race there was a little more reminiscent of the 550 days than we would really be comfortable with. And honestly, the more the package stays nearly the same or completely static, the closer the teams are going to get. And eventually they're going to reach a point where they're going fast, but they ain't racing well. It happens under every car, from the Gen 4 to the car of tomorrow to the Gen 6, and it's going to happen with the next gen at some point. Which is why I don't think they necessarily have to go full on and change everything right now. I still think the racing's going to be pretty good this year. I know Las Vegas left a lot to be desired, but that usually is the weakest of the mile-and-a-halfs in most years. But I do think that testing low downforce and 750 horsepower now is the move to make, because eventually you're going to have to start changing things. And when you look at having more horsepower, you would have more off-throttle time, which would stand in stark contrast to the direction Las Vegas seemed to go, more like the 550 era, where they were in the gas for sometimes entire laps, if not just blipping out of it for a little bit. And I don't want to go back to that, I'm sorry. I would rather deal with a few more aero problems at a faster speed than go back to 550 where you can't pass at all. He also said the 2027 line, that they're basically just going to stick with what they have this year. This is normal. I know a lot of people were wondering why they can't do it this year and were getting a little antsy about it, but this has been the way NASCAR has done it. The precedent has been set. They don't do horsepower changes in the middle of the season. I can't really think of any off the top of my head since I've started watching, and it's been over 20 years, so I don't know why people on either side are freaking out about it. I get those who don't want to change things. It's not changing this year. I get those who want more horsepower. We're not going to get it this year. We've never done that before. I think the more interesting part is him saying that at the end of the year, they'll look at Darlington, Nashville, Gateway, and the short tracks. Now, the talk of reacting to how fans reacted Darlington kind of worries me, because I think the racing was honestly pretty good. I said it on my post-race stream, but there's a large number of vocal fans who are not a fan of Darlington, who said it was boring. And in my opinion, they're wrong. I'm sorry, you're wrong. I thought that was great racing. What worries me isn't necessarily that a vocal minority, maybe around 25% of people, didn't like it. My worry is that NASCAR likes to listen to social media a lot when making decisions. They are a very social media reactive sport in a lot of respects, or at least their decision-making has left that impression on a lot of people. And listen, if it were up to me and I saw what Darlington looked like, I'd say, hell yeah, let's go to 750, let's go to 800 next year. Nashville might be the most telling and most important race for 2027's sake though, because yes, it is a mile and a third, but that track races like a mile and a half. Yeah, it's concrete, yeah, it's a little shorter, but if you want a track they are using this package on that is going to be the most like Kansas, Charlotte, Chicagoland, Texas, and Las Vegas, this is going to be your race to watch. you're going to need to watch Nashville if you want to know the direction that 2027 is more than likely going to take. I cannot stress that enough. This was honestly kind of what I thought the understanding was for this year, that they would be evaluating things throughout the season and re-evaluating between 2026 and 2027. I honestly don't understand how NASCAR fans who have been paying attention for decades don't know that this is how NASCAR works at this point. That's one of the most surprising things to me so far. My overall thoughts? The closer we get to being unrestricted again, the better, because you're going to have more throttle response, more off-throttle time in the corners, and when you look at Darlington and see the improvement year over year, seriously, look at the spring race last year compared to this year. It's a night and day difference. You're going to see a huge difference that increased power can make. You even saw it at Phoenix. Fox did a great job showing the large difference in off-throttle time from the 2025 race to this year's race. Some of the talk I've noticed has been about fans having rose-colored glasses looking back at intermediate racing in the 2010s and why we need to stick with lower horsepower. And to that I say, I get it, but we didn't improve with lower horsepower until the next gen. That was a huge difference. The Gen 6 sucked in this regard. But maybe the next gen is different. They haven't fully explained why, or maybe don't fully understand why, but it works. It works with this car. Goodyear has also been more open to tire wear now, which is much different from what they were doing with the Gen 6, bringing tires that could never wear to the track. So I don't want people who disliked 2018's intermediate racing to get too worked up over this, because it's been a long time since then, a lot has changed, and things have gotten way better than that. And honestly, I'm hoping that NASCAR hasn't cultivated a fan base during this era of lower horsepower that expects things to always be tightly bunched, where if it's 15 seconds between 1st and 10th, that's automatically a bad thing. No, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Watch the race. That happened at Darlington, and you know what? Tyler Reddick made up about 15 seconds on the final run. Why? He had a better strategy, better tires, a better car. The flow of the race was different. I can't stress enough that going unrestricted with lower downforce is the right way to go over time. Hell, if anything, I honestly think the package that needs the most work right now is the Super Speedway package, especially at Daytona and Talladega. Atlanta's good, but Daytona and Talladega need fixing right now, whether to address fuel saving or just to produce better racing overall. Maybe spreading the pack a little more would help on both accounts. With that, I want to know what you think. Should NASCAR raise the horsepower at the bigger tracks or leave things how they are? Let me know down in the comments below, because honestly, I can understand both sides of it. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share it, and subscribe to NASCAR Hub for more great NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support. Be sure to check out NASCAR Hub tonight. We're going to talk all about Darlington and so much more. Until then, have a good one.